Hello.
And
Welcome to Make It Weird. Where every Wednesday we have Weird Wednesday energy. Today, our book report will be on
oh my god, I'm crying.
painful podcasts. Like that one. That was painful.
Have you seen the SNLs? It's usually Kristen Wiig
No.
and okay.
They did my boy.
See you next week.
They did my boy Henry Zabrowski dirty.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What? They did. There was like some SNL thing on like Peacock on his penis.
They make fun of everyone.
No, they did like a 50-year like look back or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were talking about people that auditioned for SNL, and he auditioned for SNL, and they showed his clip and then acted like he was a nobody.
Aww.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense.
Did you get it though? Peacock? Piss penis?
Peeing on these cocks?
Piss penis. Peacock.
I know, I didn't. And initially I didn't. You had to explain it.
I like jokes that I have to explain.
Yeah, I know you do. Oh, I was gonna say the SNL is Kristen Wiig. It's usually her and like Bill Hader or someone or
Stop making me sneeze.
Stop it!
I can't help it.
What's his face? Fred Armisen, where they'll like be singing a song.
Who?
Fred Armisen from Portlandia.
No idea.
Nothing?
No.
All right.
I know Lonely
He's
Island.
also the guy that plays the like delegate in Parks and Rec, like one of the first episodes when they go to Brazil.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about? No, it's where he's like immediately jail.
Oh yes,
You overcook. Believe it or not, you overcook chicken. Jail.
You
That's
wearing
Fred Armisen.
too tight of sweaters? Jail.
You undercook fish? Jail. Straight to jail. But yeah, they'll do like it's like they're playing a couple that records songs, but neither of them practice the song beforehand, so then they just try to sing them together and like match their words. And Kristen Wiig, she usually breaks character, and it's so fucking funny to me. Yeah, that's the whole story. That's it.
Thank you. That was incredible.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Speaking of incredible, who's going first?
I don't know. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Get
Ketchup,
fucked.
Haley. Oh, by his toe. Well, what theme of story do you have today?
Mine is, it does require a trip on the Harney time machine.
The Harney time machine?
Harmony?
Oh.
The horny time machine.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
No.
my least favorite.
And it's about someone in history.
Okay.
And it's pretty lighthearted.
Okay. Mine's about an industrial accident.
Okay. You go first.
Beautiful.
You love talking about industrial accidents. They're your favorite.
I actually really do. This is one, I don't know why. I heard about this probably about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think about it really often. And it's one that I love telling people about.
It's not the giant maple syrup like mudslide, is it?
No.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Don't tell me too much.
Not
It's your
maple
story
syrup,
now.
the molasses flood.
No.
I can't believe you don't know that.
Surprise. I love
Keeping
it.
that, storing that away in my little memory, which doesn't store much, so it probably won't stay for very long.
No, this is the Byford Dolphin Incident.
Okay.
You ever heard of this?
No.
Yeah, no, it's really horrific. It's a horrific thing that happened, but it's just gruesome enough, and you can find the autopsy reports with photos online. It's one of those things where like you just kind of you get sucked into it.
Okay.
So the Byford Dolphin is the name of an offshore drilling vessel with 3 S's. I don't know why I put 3 S's there. Made by Aker Solutions, which is a Norwegian engineering firm.
Okay.
Long story short, it's a movable, semi-submersible oil drilling rig that could kind of be popped wherever it needed to be. Don't ask me too many questions. I don't know shit about dick when it comes to oil rigs or offshore drilling. But it was built in 1974, which means it's about 2 years older than my dad.
Okay. Great.
The Byford Dolphin had a maximum drilling depth of 6.1 kilometers, and it could be operated at a water depth of 460 meters. I apparently stole that straight from Wikipedia because there's a little bracket and the number 6 next to it.
We know our Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah. As a drilling rig, the Byford Dolphin was equipped with advanced drilling equipment and originally met strict levels of certification under Norwegian law, though in later years it was banned from Norwegian waters.
No big deal.
That cracks me up. I saw that and I was like, we're putting that in there.
It's a Norwegian ship banned from its own waters.
Yeah.
Great.
So obviously, anytime that you have a large vessel like this, there must be maintenance to be done to it.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's spending its time primarily at sea, that maintenance is done underwater.
Great.
I was trying to find the exact depth of the event that we'll be discussing, but for obvious reasons, that's a little detail that fucking nobody gives a shit about. But the reason that matters is because of the special type of diving that has to be done when going to depths around 1,000 feet underwater.
Okay.
Some sites say that the range for this special type of diving is 650 to 1,000 feet. Some said it was 65 to 1,000 feet. But we're talking about saturation diving here. And the deepest saturation dive was performed at 2,300 feet in 1988 in the Mediterranean Sea. Just a little fun fact there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck is a saturation dive? Well, let's start with the why first. Like, why would we do a saturation dive? And then we'll kind of jump into everything else. When scuba divers jump into the water, they're dealing with an immense amount of pressure. And I don't just mean from, like, the fact that they're in the ocean and, like, that's kind of spooky.
And, like, the pressure their dad and, like, their parents put on
and, like,
them to,
and, like,
be
disappointing them.
a really good scuba diver. And,
Right.
like, if you don't do a good job, you can't come home and have a meal.
Literally.
Yeah.
They'll keep you from having food.
Yeah.
This is like actual physical pressure that can be more intense than any atmospheric pressure that we will experience. Going to even 300 feet below the surface will have you dealing with pressure 10 times that of what we experience at sea level. When you scuba dive with compressed air, you take in oxygen and nitrogen, and your body uses the oxygen, but the nitrogen is dissolved into your blood, where it remains during your dive. As you swim back towards the surface after a deep dive, the water pressure around you decreases. If this transition occurs too quickly, the nitrogen doesn't have time to clear from your blood, and instead it forms bubbles in your tissue and your blood. This causes decompression sickness.
That gives me the Heebie Jeebies.
Yes.
Bubbles inside my blood? No,
dude.
thank you.
You'll have some more too later, don't worry. This is also like known as the bends.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've heard of that.
I have. Yeah. Bobby was scuba certified and he used to go with his parents all the time. Yeah.
I feel like I didn't know that.
Yeah, they went to, not Barbados.
Bermuda.
No. Bahama. Come on, pretty mama.
Jamaica. Girl, I wanna take you. Oh, I think we fucked it up. I think it's the other way around.
I think we did too.
Anyway.
I can't remember, but yes, they used to scuba all the time and he's told me about it. Yeah.
Let's go get him in here right now. He can answer all my questions.
He certainly could.
Not. So the condition is called the bends because the joint and bone pains that you get when this nitrogen leaves your blood can be so severe that they cause you to like double over. And what happens inside your body during decompression sickness is similar to what happens when you open like a carbonated beverage. When you open the can or bottle, you decrease the pressure surrounding the beverage in the container, which causes the gas to come out in the liquid in the form of bubbles. So if nitrogen bubbles form in your blood, they can also damage the blood vessels and block normal blood flow, right? And one way we avoid the bends, as like any normal person doing scuba diving, is to ascend from those depths
slowly. Yeah. Like chunk by chunk.
Yes.
You're kind of supposed to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'd read online was that decompression from depths that are like really far down can take approximately 1 day per 100 feet of seawater.
Wow.
I don't know how true that is. Because, like, obviously, I'm not a scuba diver. And
it depends on how deep you're going. Because, like, if people are just doing it recreationally to, like, look at fish and stuff, they're not going
100 feet underwater.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe they are. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know numbers or math or feet.
One of the things I've actually been, like, reading a lot about are cave diving accidents, which... As you know, I already have anxiety about caves.
Yeah.
And it's not helping, but it's also, I can't stop reading about it. It's so good.
My mom and her partner have gone to the caves a lot, and they had a horrible, not a cave diving story, but like a cave exploring story from, I think, Bermuda. Yeah. At some point in time, whenever you hang out, she'll have to tell you about it.
Okay. I'll ask you next time that your mom's in town.
Yeah.
So what this means, when I was reading some estimations, they were saying that, like, if you were to dive 650 feet underwater, the best way, the safest way to ascend back up to 0 feet would take you approximately 8 days of decompression.
I was going to say, realistically, I don't think people dive more than like a couple hundred feet or something like that.
Yeah, like 100, 150 for like just for fun, for recreation. That's kind of what I was.
You can't have enough oxygen for 8 days. There's no way.
Right. With so much decompression time needed to return to the surface, what companies will do if you are a mechanically inclined scuba diver diving to repair equipment, they'll keep you at depth at what they call saturation depth. And once you're at saturation depth, the decompression time is the same regardless of whether you've been there for an hour or 15 days.
Keep them in the water or like in a submarine?
Little column A, little column B.
Okay.
It's usually a pressurized chamber that's in the sea, and you'll kind of just come and go from the water from there.
Interesting.
Yeah, right? Like, what the fuck? That's wild to think about. Also, really quick, there was a little tidbit from a Wired article that was talking about the physics of scuba diving, and I thought it was really interesting, too. This might also give you the heebies.
Okay.
Quote, there is one other physics mistake a diver could make. It's possible to create an enclosed airspace in your lungs by holding your breath. Suppose you hold your breath at a depth of 20 meters and then move up to a depth of 10 meters. The pressure inside your lungs will stay the same during this ascent because you have the same lung volume and they contain the same amount of air. However, the pressure outside of them will decrease. The reduced external pressure on your lungs makes it as though they are overinflated. This can cause tears in the lung tissue or even force air into the bloodstream, which is officially bad stuff.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
One of the medical things that gives me the biggest heebies is like people that, thankfully it doesn't happen a lot, but like people that forget to like tap out the air of a
an
like
IV.
An IV or
a
something,
needle, yeah.
and like getting air in your bloodstream, like that gives me the heebie crawlies, like,
Yeah.
and your lungs expanding and
Yeah.
tearing. Ugh, I don't like that.
That's part of why, too, they tell you, obviously, like, when you're ascending, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
And if you're, for whatever reason, underwater and you have to quickly ascend, they tell you, like, you have to scream and, like, really push all of the air out of your lungs.
Yeah. God, that's horrifying.
No, it's
This is-
absolutely.
These are reasons why I have not, because Bobby's like, we should both get, like, I'll get recertified, you get certified, and we can go on a trip and do this stuff. And I'm like, I would like to, because I love snorkeling.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. But, like, the thought of it, I'm so anxious that I'm sure I would do everything to a T and it wouldn't
Yeah.
be a problem, but it just freaks me out.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, there's so much that can go wrong.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's a crazy feat. So, yeah, if you are doing this kind of work, you are on a likely tight repair or maintenance schedule for some large vessel with underwater repairs. You're not going to have time every day slowly coming to the surface. You need to be able to get out and check things and repair things in emergency situations. So, yeah, like we talked about, saturation depth, the divers are kept in chambers underwater at their equilibrium depth for the entire duration of their dive period, which can be up to 28 days. So, yeah, they are living in these diving chambers for the entirety of their shift, if you want to call it that. And they're surviving on a well-formulated mixture of oxygen and helium, done in an attempt to prevent the buildup of nitrogen in the blood so they can avoid that issue of the bends.
Are we going to get to, or have you already said, like, how long this shift is? Like, how long they're in that?
About 28 days. It depends.
Okay.
But for these guys, from everything that I was seeing, was like 15 to 20 days.
Okay.
Somewhere between there.
Less than a month.
Yeah. But some places will have them there for longer. It just kind of depends on the company. By the way, I did read somewhere that divers that are living in these chambers do have comically funny voices due to the oxygen and helium mixed.
That's great. Initially I was like, wait, permanently? No, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
no.
That's pretty great.
They just kind of sound like this all the time. Diver Alpha, please report depth. I don't know what they
That's
say.
incredible.
I don't know what they
Oh
say.
man, I do like the thought of it because it's probably a beefy guy, like having a cute little helium voice.
I'll fucking rip your head off. I don't know.
Get me out of the water now.
Yeah. So, and that means too that when they're done, they can take the time to come up to the surface and slowly depressurize without any outgassing or suffering of the bends. I don't know why I wrote this. This is right here is a quote from 4 a.m. this morning when I woke up really early. It's kind of like an underwater treehouse, except it's underwater. You can't leave the treehouse without going through a pressurization chamber. You could suffer nitrogen narcosis, and you're relying on machinery to process and recycle your oxygen. My favorite part of that, it's kind of like an underwater treehouse, except it's underwater.
It's kind of like this thing, except it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love that stuff.
Thank you. So now we kind of know the basics of like where they're at, what they're doing, and why they're down there.
Yep.
Let's get to the actual incident at hand.
I feel educated.
Good. I'm glad. So this is pretty gruesome, but like once again, this thing fascinates me. I love it. So the day is November 5th of 1983, which is another reason to never forget the 5th of November.
Oh, great. Yes.
Do you know what I'm referencing?
V for Vendetta.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, Harmony either has seen this movie or has not.
You know what's funny is I don't actually think I've seen the movie, but
Really?
I know, because that was such a like like early 2000s pop culture thing. Like, remember the 5th of November.
Gunpowder treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should never be forgot. Remember the 5th of November, the Byford Dolphin Incident plot. I see no reason why quick equalization of pressure should ever be forgot.
Yeah, that flew just like
Thank you.
water out of your mouth. It was so nice.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to try to kind of describe this figure of how everything was set up.
Okay.
So they had the diving bell, which was coming down from the top to the bottom, down to where the actual dive chambers were, where people were living. So
do they have like radio communication with this person? Okay.
yeah, oh yeah, there are 6 people total. Technically, yeah, 6 people. One survives. So you have the dive bell, and you're gonna kind of imagine like an uppercase T.
Okay.
At the bottom of the T is the dive bell. The stalk of the T is the trunk that connects the dive bell to the chambers. And the top here, the top of the T, are 2 different chambers. Chamber 1 and then chamber 2 off to the side.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry. It's I'm trying to figure out the best way to word it.
No,
so,
that
like,
makes I'm
okay.
visualizing it. We're good.
So that diving bell was connected via a trunk to 2 of those pressurization chambers, which were the top of the T, with chamber number 2, which was off to the side, containing 2 divers. The diving bell held 3 people. The 3 people that were in the diving bell left their gear in the bell as they entered the attached pressurization chamber by crawling through the trunk, the stalk of the T, into chamber 1.
And I'm sorry, when they're in these things, there is not water in these chambers.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it's just air. The pressure is from pressurizing the air.
You got it.
So the next steps that they had were to close the door on the diving bell, secure the door from chamber 1 to the trunk that they crawled through, and then because they were ascending, they had to depressurize the diving bell because they came to pressure to match the pressure in chambers 1 and 2 down below.
Okay.
They depressurized the diving bell and the attachment trunk to return those 2 back up to the surface. So that way it would just be chambers 1 and 2.
Okay.
The divers had performed part 1 and part 2, which was closing the door on the diving bell and then securing the door from chamber 1 to the connections trunk. So they were getting ready to like depressurize everything. But something happened and one of the dive tenders opened the clamp from chamber 1 to the trunk connecting the chamber to the diving bell, which means that the diving bell had been depressurized. It was at 1 atmosphere. Everything else was at 9. When that door opened, a rapid equalization of pressure occurred. And it's very violent for obvious reasons. Like,
tell me though, don't spare no detail.
Sorry, you made a face. So
no,
I was like,
I'm just holding my breath because
yeah.
Holding my breath.
So this meant that the whole chamber that had pressurized to 9 atmospheres was open to the diving bell that was still kept around 1 atmosphere. A tremendous blast shot through the chambers and it pushed the bell away, hitting the 2 dive tenders that were down there trying to secure the bell to the chambers. The one who had opened that clamp died, and the other dive tender was severely injured, but he did survive. The 4 total divers in the living chambers all died, their bodies exploding from the rapid depressurization.
I was going to ask in what way they die.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be an explosion.
It is. I want to clarify this too, because it is gruesome. This is instantaneous.
Yeah.
You are alive and then you're not. So as gruesome as it is, for me, there's the solace and like they didn't really suffer.
It's kind of like the Titan
Yes,
stupid submersible
exactly.
thing. Yeah, they died so quickly.
Except they imploded versus exploded.
Ah, right. Yes.
Yeah. No, but this is actually listed as one of the worst diving accidents right up there alongside the Titan submersible.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So one diver was shot out through an opening that was incredibly small. Some reports said it was 24 inches across, but when you look at pictures, it was not. He was trying to close a door, and when the blast happened, the door wasn't fully closed, and it kind of buckled, and it was, I would say, maybe 24 inches up and down and maybe 8 inches wide.
The door?
The door.
Okay, so the door is small.
Well, it was cracked.
Oh,
so,
I'm
like,
sorry.
it's
Okay.
No,
I was wait, what is... Okay, got it.
I'm picturing it in my head, and I'm trying to explain the hole that this man's blown through.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, it makes sense.
Yeah, because you're saying the people that were down in the bell...
Yes.
They basically, like, a wall of pressure, like, hit them, almost? Like,
Yeah.
versus being exploded. Like, it's almost like the pressure, like, shoved them.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah,
Okay,
because
okay.
of that. Yeah, because the air tries to go wherever it can go with the least resistance.
Yeah, right.
So it basically rushed,
Yep. Okay.
smashed that diving bell away, and then everybody, their bodies tried to equalize.
Yep.
So this diver who was shot through an opening, his body was mutilated as a result, and he was transported in 4 different body bags for autopsies. Yeah. The other 3 divers in the compression chambers were likely killed instantly as the fluids inside their bodies expanded rapidly, causing body-wide hemorrhaging. In their last few seconds alive, their blood boiled and essentially melted their surrounding fat, which leaked out of their bodies. I have a couple.
God.
You gotta have a really dark sense of humor for this. I'm really sorry. I understand what we're reading, but I got a couple of really great quotes from the autopsy report that, like, kind of made me laugh. Because you gotta...
Yeah, exactly. This is if you're listening to this podcast and you've been listening for a while, like, this is the kind of thing we're here for. We're not laughing at these people's deaths by any means.
It's like the scientists that are reporting on it and their fucking words that they choose.
Yeah,
This one was my favorite. Quote, "The penis was present but invaginated." The liver had been found somewhere on the deck.
Oh my God.
Just somewhere.
Oh my God.
Most of these are from that man who got, like, slammed through that tiny opening and got taken back in 4 body bags.
Yeah.
This is for all of them. This next quote. This one's crazy, and, like, I can visualize in my head exactly what this looks like. "In the cardiac chambers and in the great vessels around the heart, both arteries and veins, large amounts of free fat were found. This fat was mixed with gas bubbles and looked like sizzling butter on a frying pan." Why are you describing it like that?
Oh my God.
Possibly.
Listen,
okay.
This person doing this autopsy report, as someone who, a coroner, like, or whoever it is that's, like, what do you call someone who
Mortician?
does, thank you, mortician, who does the autopsies and stuff, like, it sounds so morbid, but, like, this person probably was so hyped for this.
They skipped lunch too, so they were like, "Ooh, I could really go for a steak."
They were like, "How can I describe this?" Because normally it's just like person stabbed through chest, blah 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 blah. They're like, "Oh yes, now I get to use my colorful language."
I went to college for this. I took a college language class for this. Possibly, the boiling of blood led to a desaturation of the lipoprotein complexes, rendering the lipids insoluble. If this is true, it seems appropriate to discontinue the use of the term fat embolism in decompression accidents and replace it with, for example, fat precipitation.
Oh my God.
Which, once again, why does that
Raining
matter?
fat? Like,
why does that matter?
It doesn't matter.
So, this horrific accident was initially blamed on human error, but the families of the divers actually fought for over 26 years before a report revealed the failures of the equipment were to blame for the particularly grim deaths of the divers. Yeah, the company was like, well, we had everything good to go. Like,
of course they were. They're going to try and save themselves, as they always do.
Of course.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of the incident, the industry saw a heightened focus on safety, with companies implementing more comprehensive training programs and rigorous safety protocols. It also prompted regulatory bodies to introduce stricter guidelines and standards for offshore operations, ensuring greater accountability and oversight. The incident also underscored the importance of effective communication, coordination amongst offshore teams, ensuring that all personnel are equipped to handle critical situations effectively, and regulatory bodies introduced stricter guidelines and standards aimed at improving the safety of the workers and preventing similar incidents from occurring in the future, which included more rigorous safety protocols, enhanced training requirements for personnel, and stricter oversight of equipment design and maintenance. Additionally, the incident led to increased collaboration between industry stakeholders and regulatory bodies, ensuring the safety remains a top priority in all offshore operations. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. So, I'm sorry, one guy did survive.
One guy did survive.
What?
They don't talk about him.
I was going to say, but, like, there's no way he doesn't have damage. Like,
so he was on the outside. He wasn't actually in the chambers. He was, like, on the outside hooking everything up.
Okay. So, oh God, so he probably saw everything, right? Like, are they see-through? Like, can he see through the chambers?
No, they're, like, metal.
Okay. Initially, in my head, to make it make sense, it's all clear.
No,
like, translucent.
Well, that's like, when we think of sci-fi stuff, we think of, like, submarines with windows.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately, as much as I wish they had them, submarines don't have windows.
Iron. Yeah.
I asked where the window was on a submarine once, mostly as a joke, because I knew they didn't have them. And the reactions that I got, I loved them, especially at work. Like,
I love that so much. But you know, like, you're under the water. You can't have one little window to look at the fishies.
That's what I'm saying.
Just a little window. It can have several levels. Like, make it.
Yeah.
You could put a window in there.
I want my Atlantis moment.
Yes. Oh my God, that ship in Atlantis when it has this like in the whole front of it is just like
Yeah, the
glass.
dome.
It's so cool. I love the aesthetic of that movie. Very like 19...
Like steampunky.
Yeah, like
1920s.
1920s steampunk. Like, oh, such a good movie.
Pretty
So
sure.
good.
Pretty sure that boat was also called the Nautilus.
I think it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of Nautiluses.
That's a really interesting story. I love like industrial accidents and stuff. I'm very excited to tell you about the molasses mudslide.
Yeah.
Very hyped for that. Yeah, all that kind of stuff is wild to me.
No, I love it. I love it so much. I love when just big machinery fails. I especially like when nobody's hurt, but like
Yep, of course.
there was one time I had a friend message me. They were in New London actually, and they were messaged a group chat and were like, "You guys, a crane just fell over outside of my building," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then like an hour later, he was like, they pulled another crane up to pick the first crane up, and then 30 minutes goes by, and he goes, "The second crane has fallen."
Oh my god.
They were tiny cranes. They weren't like the huge ones, but like
A crane. You need a crane for your crane.
you need a crane for your crane for your crane.
That's why I love shipping ships or like shipping ships.
Oh,
Shipping ships. You know, ships that need to ship other ships.
oh yeah.
Ships that need to ship shipping equipment.
Yes.
Shipping
Ships, shipping ships.
ships.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Jelly bean.
That was a great story. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. I hadn't
You're
heard that
welcome.
one before, so I love that kind of stuff. I'm anything under the water too. I don't know. I'm fascinated by all of it. Love all of it. Like we said before in an earlier episode, how I was obsessed with Titanic as a
Yeah.
child. Like, just absolutely obsessed with it.
Did we talk about how I thought I was reincarnated?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I've always thought you looked like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Me too. Especially when he played the little brother in Gilbert Grape.
Oh boy.
How was that allowed?
It's pretty wild. It's on the same lines as Drake being cast as someone in a wheelchair.
I feel like that's a little bit better.
Slightly. It is, but it's also like Tom Hanks playing Forrest Gump. Or I'm so sorry, I can't remember the actor's name, playing like the football, not manager, but like the guy that like their assistant or whatever on one of the football teams. Do you know what I'm talking
Oh my
about?
god, Adam Sandler.
No. Not the Waterboy.
Not Waterboy?
No. I can't remember. It's a black actor. I feel so bad. I can't remember his name, but it was like
That's Adam Sandler.
no, it was like set in the 60s or so, like, you know, like obviously everyone's treating him badly because they're racist and also because he's like special needs, but he's not. Yeah, like, well, the actor's not. It's just, yeah, I don't know.
So
It's a weird point to get on because it's it's strange.
but he wasn't a water boy. He was
No, he was like
I want to make a joke so bad.
say it.
You got the water boy by Adam Sandler and you got the water brother. I just can't-
Canceled.
Anyway.
Well,
Tell me about your story.
are you ready
Yeah.
to hop into the Harmony Time Machine?
Can I go pee first?
Oh my fucking god. Yeah.
I left my purse too. I gotta go back.
Ready? Brace.
Okay. Are we there?
We're here. You did it.
Oh, God, I just shit
incredible.
myself.
Oh god. It happens to the best
It
of us
does.
when we travel in time.
It really does.
All right, so we're going to head back to time period surrounding the American Revolution.
Ooh, okay.
There's horse poop everywhere.
Thank God.
People are high on freedom fumes and lead,
Freedom fumes.
you know.
Is that the horse poop smell?
No, freedom fumes because it's American Revolution, you know.
Okay, okay.
They're like, "Wah," and they're high on that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And racism.
Oh, always. You don't even know it's racism yet, though.
You're not wrong. All right, so I'm going to tell a story of a person. This is the story of a girl. It's not, it's about a guy.
Credit River in the American Revolution.
So this is a rags to riches story,
Okay.
but it's not very typical.
Oh.
So I feel like in most rags to riches stories, you're kind of rooting for this person. Usually, you know, they become self-made, and we're like, it's really great for this person to have risen up from the bottom to the top and become one with all the wealthy people. Blah 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 blah.
Me.
Yeah, obviously. So this one's a bit different because the guy whose story I'm going to tell, he managed to piss people the fuck off for his entire journey of
Nice.
gaining wealth. And that's simply because he was one lucky fucking bastard.
Yeah?
And people hate it when other people have good fortune for no reason.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Me too. I'm a hater. Certified hater.
Absolutely. So this is the story of Lord Timothy Dexter and his ridiculous rise to fame and wealth through a series of strange and seemingly stupid decisions that turned out to be strokes of accidental brilliance.
I don't think I've ever heard of this guy.
I had not heard of him either. I found him in the deep, deep depths of Reddit.
I love that. We love Reddit here.
The deep, like, under the sewage, like, deep
The
below
dregs.
basement dregs. Yeah, way down in there. All right, so let's talk about Sir Timothy Dexter.
Okay.
So he was born on January 22nd, 1747 in Malden, Massachusetts, pre-Revolutionary War.
Mm-hmm.
So he was born into a very poor family of Irish immigrants. Pretty typical story for a lot of Irish immigrants at that time. Oh, have I mentioned fuck Donald Trump? Just, while we're on the story of immigrants.
Where did that come from? Oh, okay. Okay. Immigrants. All right. I was thinking Irish kids, and I was like, well, my first thought when I thought Irish immigrants that were like rags to riches were the Kennedys, but I was...
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So his father was a farmer, and little Timmy grew up basically in poverty. Living in poverty at this time meant things like a lot of people living under one roof. That roof usually belonged to a very small and derelict home.
Mm-hmm.
Life inside the home was very unsanitary. Neighborhoods often shared like an outside toilet.
Wow.
Toilet's a strong word.
It's a hole in the ground.
And they shared it.
Outhouse.
Yeah, maybe. And most poor people didn't even have things like stoves so they could heat their hot meals. Life is pretty awful.
Yeah.
Quick side rant. Completely unrelated, but kind of. So I watch a lot of like romance period pieces. That's just, I'm very typical. Bridgerton, Pride and Prejudice, Outlander.
Of course.
Love that shit. Outlander specifically when I'm watching, because it's full of romance scenes. I'm watching these and I'm like, they stink.
Oh, for sure.
They stink.
They smelly boys.
So bad.
So much smegma.
Like, rich people probably smelled like not as bad, but everybody... Like, they're sweating and they got nothing against that sweat.
Body odor mixed with, like, flower petals.
Right. And while toothbrushing has been around for a long time, toothpaste was not invented until 1824.
Yeah.
Like, bad. Also, while I was looking into that, it was kind of interesting. Like, Egyptians had been brushing their teeth with, like, I don't know, twigs and horse or whatever for, like, a very long time. It was so much of an older thing that I realized it was. I figured people didn't actually start brushing their teeth for a very long time.
No, there were a bunch of different things. Like, like the horsehair and certain, like, herbs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or gum. They would take sap from trees and make gum out of it. And the gum...
That's probably more efficient than anything else.
Yeah.
All right, so little Timmy, super uneducated. He never received any kind of formal schooling. And he actually lived a large majority of his life being illiterate.
Same.
Same. So when he was young, Dexter worked in various low-status jobs, things like working on a farm or sailing. He was only 8 years old when he got his first job on a farm.
Wow.
He worked there for 8 years and then got a job as a tanning apprentice, so like working at a leather shop.
Okay.
All in all, he's not really on a path to escape poverty. This is a very typical career path for someone in that economical stage.
Okay.
All right, so in the early 1770s, somewhere around age 25, Dexter moves to Newburyport, Massachusetts.
Newburyport?
Newburyport.
What a weird... Okay.
Because it's not Newberry, it's Newbury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where things started turning around for him. Why, you might ask? Because he married rich.
Good for him.
When in doubt, marry a rich bitch.
That's what I've been saying for years.
Exactly. It hasn't worked out for me yet, but...
I'm waiting for my rich bitch, but like eventually,
We'll find her.
It's Izzy. Piss rich.
So Dexter married a wealthy widow named Elizabeth Frothingham. Also, though, like, how? He's poor.
Mm-hmm.
Stinky. In more ways than one. He's illiterate. He's got no education. And this wealthy widow is like, that's for me.
Do you know what he had? He had that megaloblata longipenis. Keep that shit on him.
He had the amorphophallus gigas.
And we're talking about his penis. If you didn't get the joke,
I did actually write that before you even said it.
Did you actually?
I was like, this guy had amazing karma, so maybe he was heavily endowed, and this girl had a good radar for big dick energy. Who knows? All right. So, anyways, she's got money, and of course, he gets to use that money. He buys a big old mansion, and he opens a leather goods shop in the basement of that mansion.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I know. He didn't buy a shop. He did it in, yeah, I don't know. Elizabeth also opened her own shop selling notions or haberdashery.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to say, I wanted you to explain, because I looked up what it was, but I won't explain it well.
It's a hat shop, basically. Hats, trims.
Yeah, but they also, notions were saying it could be like any little bits and bobs for sewing in general, like zippers, needles, like, yeah, all the little pieces that you need to do any kind of sewing job.
The shit you have to get from Joann's.
Yeah.
Like right before you're finishing something up.
Right.
Yeah.
The stuff that's not really fun to buy, but you really need it. All right, so during this time, Dexter embarks on his first monetary venture that will start the series of events that leads to his eventual success. So remember, Timothy grew up poor, he's no education. At this point, he remains uneducated. But he wanted to become a wealthy merchant. Like he sees all the other high society men doing successfully.
Of course.
He's got FOMO. He wants to be like everybody else, all these other men that like have their shit together and they're fancy hoity-toity.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I was trying to think of like a pre-revolution name. Keeping up with the Hamiltons. The
Frothinghams.
The Frothinghams. Yeah. Was that her last name?
I think it was, yeah.
What a name. How do you think that family got that name?
They're frothy bitches.
Frothing at the mouth.
All the time.
They
all had rabies.
You ever seen that video of the Australian man talking about getting attacked by the dogs?
Oh. Oh, yes, I know exactly. He's...
Yes. We literally brought that video up yesterday at work.
I love that video. And the woman next to him is like...
She's obviously so annoyed by it. She's
oh
heard
my
the same
god,
story
she's
12
over
times.
it. It's so good. All right, so Timothy does something that, from all other perspectives, seems pretty fucking stupid when it comes to spending money.
Most men do.
Yep. He decides to buy up a bunch of continental currency. This is the first paper money that the Continental Congress used.
Okay, yep.
So at the time that he's buying it, it is almost worthless, and everyone is aware of this. That's because too much of it was printed, and it was discontinued with the American Revolution. This is a theme throughout this whole thing. People want his friends, quote-unquote friends, they want to see him fail. So these ventures, these things that he buys in on, they are all suggested by his friends because they think he's a piece of garbage and they want him to fail.
Oh my god,
so he's pushed into this.
It's like that one friend that like bought into Bitcoin.
Yeah. And now everyone's upset because they actually made money. Yeah. But luck is on Timmy's side because shortly after he buys all his seemingly worthless money, Alexander Hamilton, look at my son. Pride is not the word I'm looking for.
Oh my god, I didn't even know Hamilton we mentioned in this.
The first Secretary of the Treasury enacted his debt assumption plan. So the U.S. Constitution provided that all continental money could be traded for bonds.
Oh.
Suddenly, that worthless money is worth a very pretty penny.
Wow.
And the local aristocrats, the ones who either sold him these worthless bills or watched and laughed as he spent tons of money on them, are pissed off at his luck because he's uneducated.
Yeah, how the fuck would he know?
He's got good karma, and they're pissed about it. This starts a running streak of Dexter's acquaintances literally trying to ruin him by convincing him to buy more stupid shit. Karma's a bitch. All right, so now we're going to get into the culmination of all of the weird shit that he bought that made him successful because there's too many. It's so funny. Okay, all right, so next comes the warming pans.
The warming pans?
Warming pans, like the ones that you would use to put hot coals in your bed to keep your bed nice and toasty. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
They're usually, it looks like a really big cooking pan and it has like a lid on top of the pan that you put all the coals and stuff in from the fire. I guess it doesn't have to be coal, but embers or whatever.
Yeah, hot things.
Super big fire
hazard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fire hazard. All right, so Dexter hears, most likely from his friends, that there is a need for warming pans in the West Indies. A need for warming pans in the Caribbean.
That's what I was literally just thinking.
Right. Warming pans were typically used to heat beds. That's what I said, blah, blah, blah. But his shitty little friends convinced him that there was a widespread demand for them in warmer climates. So he bought up a large quantity and shipped them to the Caribbean.
Okay.
So when the pans arrive in the West Indies, Dexter's agent that's there supervising them being unloaded realizes like the mistake that's been made.
Yeah.
And he actually remarkets the pans and sells them as ladles for molasses.
What?
Because the sugar industry was undergoing a massive expansion.
Wow. Okay.
And they sold out. The entire inventory sold out, and he turned a significant profit.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
That's awesome.
Marketing.
That guy was looking out for him.
Absolutely. So smart. Yeah. I'm sure he got a good chunk of change from that.
I hope so.
Yeah, you hope. You never know. We're rooting for this guy. He's got good karma. Unfortunately, he's also kind of a piece of shit later in life. But,
Great.
So don't root for him too much.
It's the American Revolution. Everybody's kind of a piece of shit.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty awful. All right, next one.
Okay.
One of his most notorious ventures occurred when he purchased a large quantity of coal and shipped it to Newcastle, England, believing that the region would need it, once again influenced by his friends, who wanted him to burn in hell. People jokingly told him to, quote, ship coal to Newcastle. This is actually a British idiom describing a pointless action. He was uneducated and from America, so he had no fucking clue. They were saying it to his face, like, ship coal to Newcastle, and that is a thing to, like, do something stupid.
Wow.
In reality, coal was not in demand there, and it was a poor investment by all conventional measures. But when the shipment of coal arrived in Newcastle, the local coal miners had gone on strike.
What the fuck? Dude.
The city, desperate for fuel, was willing to pay premium prices for coal from anywhere. Dexter's shipment arrived at exactly the right moment, turning what should have been a disaster into yet another triumph.
That is incredible.
Isn't that wild? And it just keeps going.
This widow is having such a great time.
Right?
She's like, damn, this investment really turned itself.
My husband can't lose. All right. What weird thing do you think is going to sell next?
My brain keeps going to toads. I don't know why.
Okay, that's more in line than what I was
Are you
thinking.
serious?
Stray cats.
What? What? Is he just scooping cats up off the street?
He starts buying stray cats, tons of them.
Why?
And temporarily houses them in his mansion because his friend convinced him that they were needed in the West Indies.
Why the West Indies again? Why are we there?
That's just one of their big trading partners at the time. I don't know. So you can imagine. So he's storing the cats in his house temporarily. You can imagine the people in town are laughing and mocking him because now not only is he the crazy, stupid, uneducated guy who keeps making a lot of money, but he's got 100 cats.
I would have such a good time.
Right?
Oh my god. They're probably peeing everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure. Disgusting. He was able to sell the cats to a warehouse merchant in the Indies because they had horrible rat problems in their warehouses.
That would make sense. That'd be why I would need hundreds of cats.
Exactly. So they started becoming a hot commodity. People were paying really high prices for his cats to keep their rats out of their properties.
I watched a really cool YouTube video talking about cats in medieval England and how cats were used as currency, and you could trade cats for like different livestock and stuff and what they were worth in different regions. Yeah.
Just because they were used as like rodent control?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's pretty cool.
Speaking of cats and stuff,
I appreciate all the moments in history when cats are so like highly regarded.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And there were like actual trade things that were sent out of like a cat is worth like 4 shillings or whatever the fuck. Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Good for cats.
Love cats.
All right. So by the late 1780s, Lord Timothy Dexter had become Newburyport's most notorious citizen. By the way, he was never given the title Lord. He literally just told everyone that he was a lord. No one wanted to call him that, but he didn't care and he went by the title anyway, and he forced all of his servants to call him Lord.
I love that. Good for him. He manifested it.
Know what you're about.
Yeah.
His mansion was also lavish as fuck and super gaudy.
Okay.
Which makes sense for someone who's never had money before.
Of course,
and they just, yeah. So he had several statues on the property of notorious men like George Washington, Napoleon.
I like how you described George Washington as notorious.
Right?
It's such like a bad connotation with that word.
But he also had 2 statues of himself, one of which had an inscription that read, "I am the first in the East, the first in the West, and the greatest philosopher in the Western world."
What are you talking about? Okay.
He thinks his shit does not stink.
You know what? Good for him.
Right.
I'm proud of him. Yeah.
Yep. Right. Manifest, like you said. So all this being said, people in society are still super snobbish, look down their noses upon him, refuse to like him, call him one of their own, etc. Yep. He's still not accepted. So in 1780, he took a major gamble by investing in American silver.
Okay.
Despite widespread belief that silver prices would never rise.
What year was 1780?
Mm-hmm.
Was Oneida community making silverware at this time?
No, this is a little bit too, a little bit too far ahead, but that would be really funny. He purchased a large amount of silver during the American Revolution. So once again, the unpredictable market worked in his favor. Price of silver skyrocketed, and he sold the silver for a shit ton of money.
Oh my God.
Just keeps going. There's another one. He apparently hoarded whale bones by mistake. Some kind of thing with like they convinced him about whaling being really profitable. And there was like a pile of the whale bones that they were probably going to throw away. And he was like, what about those? Those seem really important. And he was like, I'm going to buy these. So he had hoarded them. He had a bunch of these, didn't know what to do with them.
I feel like I know where this is going.
Turned a huge profit because they were used as boning in women's corsets.
Yes, they were. Good for him.
All right. And then last one I'm going to mention, Bibles.
Of course. Did he like get into the hotel business?
No, he probably should have though. Fucking Bibles in hotels.
My hotel has a Mormon Bible in it.
Only a Mormon Bible?
It is both, but I just thought it was funny. Do you ever check the Bibles for money?
No.
I always check them for money.
Have you ever found money?
Once. I found it like $1.
Wow.
People use it as like a bookmark.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I did that once in a library book in middle school. It was a $20 bill.
You found one in there?
No, I used my own $20 bill as a fucking bookmark, and then I turned the book in.
Girl.
And forgot my dollar.
Someone's day, though. Yeah.
It was a shitty book. I don't think anybody ever checked it out after me.
It's probably still there.
They threw the book out, I'm sure.
Oh, God. All right, so he buys a shit ton of Bibles. And not just the ones that were available for purchase. He started buying them from anywhere he could find them.
Oh.
So he's buying them from churches. He's buying them from anyone who will...
Like families that have their family Bibles too, I'm guessing?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
And once again, it paid off. So a massive religious revival, of course, was sweeping through the South, sparked by traveling preachers, camp meetings. It's the Christian revival for the South. New churches were sprouting up faster than cotton. Everyone needed Bibles.
Okay.
When word spread that a merchant had a warehouse full of them, the orders came flooding in, and Dexter's timing, as usual, was impossibly perfect. He sold his Bibles at a massive markup, with some specially bound editions going for 10 times their original price.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Southern churches were desperate for the copies. They paid whatever. This guy literally cannot lose, and
That's
the
crazy.
snobby bitches are still pissed the fuck off.
It's like that one friend that you have on Facebook who you just kind of, like, you hate follow them.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Good for you. I'm so happy for you.
Love that for you.
Get fucked.
And then you see they get divorced and you're like,
right? I recently had that happen where it was like someone I know, I think it's their second divorce or split or whatever, which is like no judgment, but I wasn't expecting it because they're, well, I mean, everyone's like this, but they were so showy on social media. This is someone I know, like a person of a person, like connection kind of a thing.
yeah.
And yeah, I went on a like, oh my God, they're not wearing their ring in this picture. They're not wearing the ring in this picture. Oh, wait, did they delete all the pictures of
What's
said
happening?
person? Oh yeah, I went into a wild.
I wonder who did that for me whenever I got divorced. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I never posted.
You didn't post much,
I never
yeah,
really
no.
posted. No. I never really posted a whole lot. I'm sure some people from like New York did it.
Yeah, maybe people from high school who keep up with you.
I don't know. I removed like 600 people from my Facebook.
Oh. All right, so like I said before, up until this point, like we're kind of for Team Dexter. Like we like him.
Of course.
He's making a shit ton of money off bad karma from other people. We want to see him fail purely because he's uneducated and they don't like him. Unfortunately, we're about to not be Team Dexter anymore.
Oh.
So this gets into the very eccentric part of why Dexter is such a weird, notable person in history.
Okay.
So besides him just constantly buying weird shit, he is also known for his eccentric and sometimes erratic behavior. Dexter was known for throwing lavish parties that were often as outlandish as his business decisions. At one such party, Dexter insisted that only the highest ranking guests could attend, going so far as to publicly insult people he deemed beneath him.
What the fuck?
He's getting a little high and mighty.
Shut up,
here.
Dexter. You're named Dexter. Sit down.
Sit down.
Be humble.
Bitch.
Sit down. Yeah, like for real.
So Dexter has all this success, but apparently for him, money did not buy happiness.
Okay.
For me, it would.
It would solve a lot of my problems.
Yeah, and I think that would make me happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be a lot happier.
Mm-hmm. The elites that he was so desperate to impress still viewed him as a distasteful and grotesquely lucky idiot. His unhappiness and need for approval led to problems at home. His wife berated him constantly for his wandering eye and habit of drinking too much. Mm-hmm.
Oi.
Sounds like she's in the right.
Yeah, for real.
In response, he started calling his wife a ghost and pretended she was dead.
What?
He was so pissed off that she was calling him out for what he did, telling men what they did and they get upset, that he was like, you're dead to me. Even though we're married and we live in the same house, you're a ghost.
I thought you were going to say that he was like beating her or something.
No.
Honestly, that's not too bad.
It's pretty funny.
Gaslight, gatekeep, Dexter boss.
All right, so eventually Dexter decides the only way he's going to get the respect he deserves is if he has a title. So he moves to Chester, and he insisted that people call him the Earl of Chester. He started paying kids around the town to call him this title.
What the fuck?
All right, at one point, and this is my favorite part, this man had a fake funeral for himself. He wanted to see who would show up and mourn his death.
Did anybody show up?
Yes.
Okay.
Dexter's wife and family had been bribed and given strict instructions on how to act. Around 3,000 people attended.
Wow.
A lot of people. Shortly after the ceremony, his ruse was revealed when he was found in the kitchen beating his wife with a cane.
Dexter! I said...
I know. You just called it.
Oh my god! You're not acting sad enough!
That's exactly what he was mad about.
Are you serious?
He was mad because instead of playing the mourning widow, he found her, like, laughing with the other guests. And she wasn't playing up to her part. So he got pissed off and he beat her with a cane. Unfortunately, not in a good spot because everyone saw. And they were like, okay, well... You're not fucking dead, you psychotic idiot.
Beat yourself with a cane, Dexter.
Literally. So this incident cemented Dexter's reputation as a buffoon, obviously.
Yeah. Makes sense.
who had gotten rich through luck rather than brains.
Yeah.
In 1802, at age 50, Dexter wrote and published a book. Are you ready to hear the title of it?
Always.
A Pickle for the Knowing Ones.
What the fuck does that mean?
Exactly. It means nothing.
What the... Okay.
So we know Dexter is sassy.
Okay.
But man, oh man, is he petty.
Really?
If you didn't think the funeral was petty enough. So this book, which is essentially a collection of nonsensical ramblings, was a clear reflection of his self-confidence and bizarre sense of humor. In the book, he complained about politicians, the clergy, and his wife. The book contains 8,847 words and 33,864 letters, but without any punctuation and with unorthodox spelling and capitalization.
Dexter!
Purposefully.
Purpose.
So he's not quite as illiterate as he used to be, but like,
okay.
I'm gonna give you an example here in a bit. So he also signs his name at the end of each chapter. Like they're letters. So here's an expert.
Here's an expert?
An expert.
Okay.
Here they are.
Oh my god.
It's Dexter reincarnated.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at the picture of you and Bobby.
Yeah. Here's an expert.
Right here.
So, I'm the first lord in the United States, Y-O-U, United States, of A. Mercury, now of Newburyport. It is the voice, V-O-I-S-E, of the Peopel, and I can't help it, and so let it go, G-O-U-E.
You know when you are in high school and you have that one person as a Facebook friend who isn't very intelligent, and they write a status on Facebook with no punctuation? That is what that reminds me of.
Exactly what it sounds like. It's a blabbering. There's no content.
Yeah.
So the first edition was self-published in Salem, Massachusetts in 1802. Dexter initially distributed his book for free, but it became popular, and it was reprinted 8 times.
Because they wanted to fucking laugh at him, right?
Yeah, it's probably hilarious. Like, people are probably enjoying it as a comedy. The second edition was printed in Newburyport in 1805. In this edition, Dexter responded to complaints about the book's lack of punctuation by adding an extra page of 11 lines of punctuation marks with the instruction that printers and readers could insert them wherever needed.
You know what? I've seen that.
You have?
I've seen that.
Okay, that's great.
Oh my god.
It's literally just a page full of punctuation.
Yes,
yeah.
That is so funny. I've also seen that too, where like there'll be somebody who's like British or American writing for the British, and they'll be like, "Here's a page full of U's for you to put them in whatever fucking words you want, like color."
And that's what he
favor.
said in his words. He said, "They may pepper and salt it as they please," and it's all spelled wrong.
Great.
All right, getting close to wrapping up this amazing story. So in the final years of his life, Dexter withdrew from the public life and lived in his opulent mansion. He spent his days surrounded by his wealth and eccentricities, convinced of his own genius and the unlikely fortune that had made him a rich man. So Timothy Dexter died on October 23rd, 1806, at the age of 59, the ripe old age of 59.
Look at him go.
That's actually pretty old back then. You were lucky to reach 20. Though he was not celebrated in his time, his story of improbable success and eccentricity has endured as an example of the role of luck and serendipity in achieving wealth. Over time, Dexter's life has been remembered as an example of chaotic forces that shape history, where chance events and the audacity of an unconventional individual can lead to unexpected success. Following his death in 1806, an obituary referred to him as, quote, one of the most eccentric men of his time, and further noted that his intellectual ability was not, quote, of the most exalted stamp.
I love that.
And that's the story of a really wealthy idiot.
Oh my god.
And here's a really realistic picture of him.
Okay.
It's a drawing. But he got a little dog.
That looks like my dog. I love this huge hat.
I know.
Why is...
With tassels.
It looks like a matador's. Is it the matadors that wear the hats like that?
I think so. And like, look, he's got little bows on his, yeah.
Shoes with the bows.
Shoes with the bows, with the bows.
The whole colony's looking at bows. He hit his wife.
Bows.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I messed it up. His wife.
I don't know. That's all I had. That's really all that I had.
She hit the floor. Shorty cried, no.
He said, you should have cried more.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was really, I loved that. That was really fun.
You're welcome. It is a lot of fun. It's, nobody really died, and it's just somebody being a little piece of shit in history.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
He didn't beat his wife, so we don't really like it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think everyone was beating their wife at that time.
We should do that some more.
Yeah, I think...
No, do not agree with that. You're supposed to go, Haley, don't do that.
I think as a society, what we're missing is beating our wives more.
We're missing more violence against women.
There's not enough of it. We need it. We crave it.
There was this guy on 90 Day Fiancé who was like a relationship coach.
Oh, God.
And he would talk about how women had smaller brains and you had to train them.
Oh, my God. That was on TLC, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah. The Learning Channel.
God, I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know it was the Learning Channel.
I'm pretty sure that's what TLC stood for. And it used to be where you would watch, like, Well,
TLC before that channel, it was Tender Loving Care.
What?
It could be the Learning Channel. That would make more sense for the channel itself. But before it was a channel, it was a saying. It was like, it needs a little TLC, Tender Loving Care.
Yeah. Yeah. First established in 1980 as the Learning Channel.
Okay, yeah.
Initially focused on educational and instructional programming. TLC is an American girl group formed in 1990 in Atlanta.
An American girl group?
TLC?
Oh, TLC. Sorry. Yes, obviously.
Holy shit, the founders of TLC, the cable network, are NASA, the United States Department of Health and Human Services. And president of TLC, Mr. Howard Lee.
Great.
Never mind.
Yes.
I was going to ask a really stupid question. I was going to ask if we had an Asian president, but I was like, I would know that. I would actually know that.
Like, have we had one?
We have not.
No, we haven't.
No, sorry. It said because the thing says founders NASA, and then the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and then it says the president, Howard Lee. And it's a picture of an Asian man, which is why I went, oh, the president of TLC, not the U.S.
If only. I could use an Asian president right about now. Did you ever watch on TLC What Not to Wear?
Yes.
Traumatizing.
Dude.
And at the time, we didn't realize it, but I was like, this is top tier television.
I've been getting more and more videos of, like, I don't think it was TLC, but it's this guy and he's dressing women in the early 2000s. And he'll be like, this whole outfit was supposed to be under 200 euros, but I came just slightly above at 275, but the outfits are hideous.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, that's kind of how some of them were. Like, dude, that show was wild. They would bully these women the fuck out of them about what they would wear when it was just like 9 times out of 10 there were moms like trying to wear just like their sweats out in public.
Yeah,
like calm the fuck down. And the outfits that they had, like at the time we thought they were like, oh, that's so much better, those so much better, but like it was very like early 2000s business professional attire. For sure. Like
I remember I watched like a clip recently where it was just like a normal woman standing there and they said that she had linebacker shoulders and she needed to wear like a different type of bottom to really balance out how top heavy she was. And I was like, what the fuck?
I keep seeing videos of people using examples like that and they're like, was body shaming really that bad in the early 2000s? And then they'll get examples like that. Like, oh God, it was bad.
Yes.
I mean, it's always been bad, obviously, but like in the early 2000s when
heroin chic was like the body type.
Exactly. And it was on TV a lot more than it had
Yes.
been before, and magazines and blah, blah, blah. Like, man, we were given some very bad
It was rough.
advice. Yeah,
rough.
real rough.
Well, speaking of rough, that episode, buddy, it was rough.
It was a rough run, but a rough run.
Rough, rough.
It was a rough run, but it was a good one.
You ever seen the Wheel of Fortune clip where the guy, there's like a question on the board and it's like the answer is Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Gang. There's like 2 or 3 letters.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And the guy is like, I want to solve it. And he's like, Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine. And then the host comes over and is like, wow, that's incredible. I don't know how you did that. I only have one thing to say to you. He was like trying to imitate Scooby-Doo or something. I have no idea.
Oh my god, that's so bad. My mom and I used to watch Wheel of Fortune all the time. She loves it.
Yeah, it's like a dinner show.
Yeah,
It would come after Jeopardy.
Yeah, ours would usually be after dinner. We would watch Wheel of
Yeah.
Fortune. Yeah.
We usually had late dinners.
Anyways,
Thanks for listening.
thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and joining us on our Wednesday weird energy.
Wednesday Weird Energy,
Yeah.
WWE.
That's what that. Yeah. We wrap a podcast network.
Just gonna call it WWE.
Oh yeah, we'll get so soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, thank you guys for listening. Follow us on social media: TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, all that jazz. You can watch the videos if you'd like on YouTube or Spotify, or you can just listen to our audio anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
And that's that. And somehow Izzy knows that we are wrapping up the episode. Do you want to come say hi to the people?
Oh,
That's a big stretch.
Oh, she peed.
Yep.
Yep, she peed. Oh, don't sit in it.
Sit in it.
Oh man. Okay. Well, you know what? Thanks guys for listening. Keep on making it weird. This sweet girl.
There's the Iz dog.
Look at her.
Hi. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Speak.
Her little face.
She has no idea what's going on.
Oh, that sweet little thing. 2 brain cells holding that dog together.
One of them's out of business.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us, doesn't it? Oh, goodness gracious. Well, thanks for hanging out with us and Izzy. And Izzy says it's time to go.
So keep on making it weird.
Goodbye.